Welcome inside episode 468 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. And just when we thought there was a Sens game on the horizon, oh no, the NHL had other ideas.
Ross, I'm running out of ways to talk about postponed games. We actually thought we were going to have a game preview today. We were talking earlier. This is going to be a fun show, lots of good topics, and we can get into Sens hockey. Yeah, that's not happening. Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. That's now 11 postponed games. Could be another one on the horizon. We'll give you some more information on that, but we're not letting that keep us down heading into the weekend. We do have fun topics to get into. Tyler Boucher skated with the Belleville Senators yesterday for the first time. What's next for him? We know what's next for Phillippe Daoust. Somewhat of a surprise for the Sens' 6th-round pick in 2020. And Pierre Dorion was on TSN 1200 yesterday and let us in on a few state secrets. We'll get into all that and more. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today is Friday, January 7th in Pilsy. I could have sworn I heard Bill Daly. I watched him say that this game was going to go on Saturday, Sens at Canucks, and then we wake up this morning to the news that that's no longer the case.
It's crazy how quickly they changed that. And I was under the impression that there's no more room to postpone games. Like, we haven't even heard of new scheduled times for the previous postponed games, let alone these up-and-coming ones. Like, it's starting to look like they're going to have to do what they did with Vancouver and Calgary last year, where there's going to be regular seasons going on during the playoffs. And it's turning into a complete gong show here. Like, imagine being the players getting ready, geared up, and you're like, actually, no, your game tomorrow is not going to happen. What?
And they have to, and they were planning on flying across the country today, and now the flight will be going to Edmonton instead. And they're planning on practicing in Ottawa now. So there is a silver lining. I'm going to get to that, but to your point, like, how many more can we do here? So we're pulling up on YouTube the full list of Senators postponed
Ross had to
games.
break his graphic down. There's so many different postponed games here.
11 in total, 8 on home ice, and now you've got 3 on the road. The one thing I will say about the road games, it was going to be hard to go to Seattle for one game later this season. So at least now you're going Seattle, Vancouver at some point. But that doesn't take away the sting from what is now 20 days with one game. And even that game, you got to think, like, if you're going to postpone all the other ones for a competitive standpoint, the Senators were ravaged through COVID, and now guys are back. Now this would be a team that could compete, but they go in and give the Leafs a free spot on the bingo card last Saturday with a 6-0 beatdown on home ice. So, yeah, say what you want. The Leafs had a little bit longer of a layoff, but they also were getting Mitch Marner back, other guys back in the lineup that were going to be able to contribute. So I just think that is an absolute goofy move from the NHL standpoint. And you think, okay, it's a Hockey Night in Canada game. That's why they stayed that game in Toronto. But tomorrow night's supposed to be Hockey Night in Canada. So it just shows there's no rhyme or reason is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, okay, I understand the point. Like, okay, going all the way to Seattle for a one-off game and then traveling somewhere else, that doesn't make a lot of sense in today's day and age. Sure. But they knew they were postponing the Seattle game so long ago. So, like, what happened? Somebody, like, piped up in a boardroom like, oh, actually, like, did we think about this yesterday? Like, how was this not thought of when they did the Seattle game? I don't understand the process here. And yeah, like, February is going to be an insane month. And the Senators struggle to stay healthy at the best of times, right? Like, think of just recent time with injuries and obviously COVID involved there too. But this team is going to struggle when they have to play weeks of 4 games in every week, like back to back to back. It's going to be ridiculous. And it's not fair for these young guys that this is how they're introduced to the NHL and they're not given a proper competitive balance. Like, I don't know. It's just, like, the league just hates Sens fans. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
Yes, they do. And when I look, I'm trying to find the most updated because things are changing so fast. But what I'm seeing is that BC still has 50% capacity. So they should still be able to have 9,000 people in that building. There were 0 people in the game in Toronto. I mean, like at some point, you just have to shake your head. Now, we know Alberta is the Texas of Canada. We know they're going to be going full steady steam ahead. So in all likelihood, and I'm not going to guarantee it, you crossed your fingers when you said we had a game to preview.
Yeah, I didn't guarantee. I made clear that was not a guarantee.
Yeah, so I'm not going to guarantee either, but I think in all likelihood, the Sens will be going to Alberta, play the 2 games, and then I think that game in Winnipeg's postponed as well. But silver lining time, Pillsy, if that game happened in Winnipeg, there wouldn't have been fans. So hopefully you and I can still get to that Winnipeg game later on in the year, and it just means we get an extra 24 hours in Grand Forks to see our boy Jake Sanderson, who we're going to have a great note on later in the show. So we're building up the positivity slow and steady through today's LOSP.
Yeah, well, Ross, you know me. I'm just looking for an excuse to get out to Winnipeg again. So that's perfect, especially in the summertime. Winnipeg 100%. In the summer. Because the Sens are going to be playing this game in May. Like, I hope you realize that. Like, this isn't, we're not talking March, April, spring. No, it's going to be summer. I'm bringing my swim shorts and we're going swimming while 100%. Watching the Ottawa Senators game. This is going to be ridiculous. I mean,
get ready for 15 hours of sun too, man. The sun goes up here in the summer at like 5:30 and it's up till 10 p.m. So get ready for all that later on in the year. But man, this is so disappointing. We haven't even touched on the Senators getting 7 players back from COVID protocol. Oh yeah, those 7 guys missed the Toronto game, or most of them. I think they added a couple afterwards, but it's just a complete up and down situation. But Senators lines do look good, and that's what I think makes fans even more upset that this game is postponed. That is an NHL ready lineup, I would say, for what we would have seen against Vancouver in a complete sicko game. Like, this had the potential to bring back the vibes from last season where the Senators would go in and beat up on these great teams. Like, the Canucks are 8-0-1 under Bruce Boudreau. This was the time for sickos to strike.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, maybe get Boudreau fired real quick from a loss from the Sens here. But and also it's exciting too. There's been so much talk about the Edmonton Oilers and turmoil. I saw a quote. I forget who said it. I can't.
Yeah, it's on 1200.
Yeah, they were saying if Edmonton loses this game to Ottawa, like they're done. So like that again is perfect sicko timeline. And hopefully, again, I'm crossing my fingers here for people that can't see me. Hopefully that game happens because we need that.
Now, the lines: Norris, Tkachuk, Batherson, Stützle, Formanton, Connor Brown. They've really kept some familiarity now with that Stützle, Formanton, Connor Brown line. The third, don't call it the fourth line, because Austin Watson sent the assistant equipment manager on the charter to this road trip. That was a great video yesterday. Check it out. Claire Hanna from TSN tweeted that out. So Gambrell with Sanford and Watson in the fourth line, Tierney, Paul, and Ennis. On defense, great to see Thomas Chabot back in his usual spot atop the left side. He's playing with Artem Zub, and we'll get to a note on Zub's former teammate later in this show as well. Then Nick Holden with Eric Brandstrom continuing to play the right side, and then Mete with Josh Brown, who looks poised to return from injury. In goal, Gustafsson and Matt Murray at practice. Lots of guys extra at this practice as well, because they are utilizing the taxi squad. The taxi squad right now is Clark Bishop, Scott Sabarin, and JBD. Got Hetherington and Gaudette in the mix as well. Pillsy, I want to focus in quickly on Eric Brandstrom, though. Could DJ Smith be changing his tune? Could we see Eric Brandstrom play on the right side?
I mean, it does seem that way. And like we talked about earlier, if Victor Mete has done anything for this franchise, it's paving the way for that to be an option at least. So that's exciting. And I mean, if you're going to put him with anyone other than Zub, I like that he's with Holden. I think that's your best case scenario there. Not saying too much based on his other options, Del Zotto, Brown, and Mete, even though Del Zotto's sent back down to Belleville.
Yes.
But quick note on Chabot too. Like, this guy is just addicted to ice time. On the practice ice, the Zamboni is still cleaning the ice, and Chabot is out there skating on just the fresh, clean parts of the ice. Like, that is just classic. Like, you cannot get Chabot off the ice.
I love it, whether it's practice or game.
Yeah,
that is. So great to see Tom Chabot back with his teammates. And He'll have a little extra practice time now because the Senators, of course, with their game postponed in Vancouver, their next game in Edmonton on the 10th, so on Monday. And then they've got 2 extra days off, which I'm sure they'll need in Alberta to get prepared for the Calgary Flames, that game going on the 13th. So Monday and Thursday, the 2 likely games this upcoming week, and we still don't know about Winnipeg on Saturday, the 15th. And then the good news is after the 18th, which I assume will be postponed again, was supposed to be Craig Anderson's return to Ottawa, but he's injured as well, so you wouldn't have had that as a possibility. The Senators embark on a 3-game road trip through the United States of America, so you can expect those games to go on without a hitch. It's been a long time. It's been almost 3 weeks since the Senators scored a goal. We talked about it yesterday. People had fun with that trivia, Pilsy. And before we get to Pierre Dorion, which I did find very interesting, a few topics he got into with Graham Creech and Steve Lloyd on TSN 1200, we got to wish a happy birthday as a goalie-friendly show to Yanni Erme, one of my favorites growing up. Honestly, this guy who came in, finished keeper. He was the goalie actually for Finland in the Olympics in Salt Lake City. So great to see some Sens gear out there for him, but he was just a steady backup for Patty Lalime. Great gear, great tendy.
Oh, yeah. That's one of those guys you look back at and you're like, I miss when hockey was like this. Like when guys looked like that. And you had Yanni Erme out there just doing everything he can for the Sens. You got to love it.
Man, I got to pull it up right here for everyone watching on YouTube as well. Like he had one of the all-time like late 90s, early 2000s buckets. Like, look at that. And you can almost see on the other side, like it's the Senegoth logo on that side. But then on the other side, same design, but the 2D. Yeah. So he had 2 different logos on the helmet. It is as old school as it gets. So we want to wish a happy 47th birthday to Yanni Erme. All right, Pillsy, do you have a word from our friends at Built Bar before we talk about Pierre Dorion and get into some news and notes from around the Sens organization?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, guys. So we're all used to this. It's tough to find ways to stay active, to stay energized. Well, get outside, go snowboarding. That's what I'm doing these days. And yesterday was a perfect powder day. I didn't have time to eat breakfast, but I needed to fuel up. So I grabbed a Built Bar to get me ready for a day on the hill. And you can do the same because Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. You can put it in your bag, put it in your pocket, bring it in the car with you for the car ride. Wherever you go, you can bring Built Bar with you. And there's so many different amazing flavors to try from. You're going to want to bring Built Bar with you all the time. I know I do. And guys, since you're a loyal listener of the Locked On Senators podcast, we're going to hook you guys up with a promo code. So head to built.com today. Check out all their cool flavors, cool products. There's Built Puffs, Built Bites, so many different things to choose from. And use our promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get yourself a 15% off on your next order. You gotta love it. So one more time for the people in the back, go to built.com today. Look at your Built Bars, pick out your flavors. We suggest getting the mixed box to try them all and use our promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your next order. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
All right, Pillsy. And before we get to this next segment, I just want to say a big thank you to all the fans who continue to watch and listen to Locked On Senators, even though the team is more a concept than something we watch on TV. So really appreciate that. Everyone following along at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. But it was a busy day online yesterday, Pillsy, because Pierre Dorion dropped a couple bombs. We'll get into some roster notes, but to me, the most interesting thing was confirming the team's interest in KHL forward Andrei Kuzmenko, the St. Petersburg product. He's going on his 5th season in the KHL. He's 24 years old. So this guy he entered the league at a young age. He's got one of the weirdest tape jobs. I'm going to pull up a photo for our YouTube viewers.
Weirder than Timmy?
It's pretty weird. I'll let you be the judge of that a little bit later, but his numbers jump off the page, especially this year. 52 points in 42 games. Now, where I get curious, do you think Pierre Dorion would have brought this up? I guess he was asked, but the way he went into it, he seemed pretty confident. Like they have the inside track here.
Well, I mean, you can't blame him for being confident, right? Like, look, this is a guy who was teammates with Artem Zub, similar situation, a Russian guy, a young guy with lots of pro experience wanting to come to North America. they're from the same team. And if I'm not mistaken, they even share the same agent, Dan Milston.
Yes.
So this is a situation that the Sens are used to and were successful in before, right? There was a lot of suitors for Artem Zub, and he chose to go to Ottawa for the best opportunity. And I would argue he probably got it. Not many other teams would Artem Zub been able to carve out a top 4 role for himself that quickly. So that worked out great. I'm sure, hopefully, Zub is letting Kuzmenko know about it. And wouldn't this just be perfect, Ross?
I said 2 top 6 forwards.
We're
Here's
looking for one of them, and this guy, classic Russian, right? He plays on his off wing, sniper style. And Ross, not only is he putting up points, this guy is a goddamn highlight machine. Like,
yes,
I like Sens fans. This is a classic. Like, I'll be honest, first time I heard of this guy was yesterday, and I've already
He's my favorite player.
Yeah, I love him. I feel like I'm already picturing him in a Sens jersey, and yeah, like, it would just be an amazing opportunity for the Sens. Even to be one of his top 3 suitors would be an incredible opportunity, because if you can inject a guy like that into your lineup. Now, I'm using Panarin as an example here, but I'm not talking about him coming to the KHL to Chicago. It's like what New York did, right? When the New York Rangers got Panarin into their lineup, like, that's such a big injection. A guy that's already has pro experience, already is lighting it up with offensive skill. And then to get him on a second line, like, this guy could probably easily be a first line player. So to have him on your second line with Tim Stützle and Alex Formenton would be absolutely incredible. I'm all in on this.
You know me, though. I'm waiting for him to add another right winger, because this guy's a right shot, but you mentioned it, plays the offside. So to me, rather than move Formenton over to his right side, I think he'd look great with Pinto on the third line, and then you could really start seeing some offense. Now, here's the tape job I mentioned. Look at that thing. He completely misses parts on his stick there, which is absolutely wild.
Yeah, and that's not black tape, right? Like, that's not the zebra. Weird. Huh.
No,
I wonder why.
I got a close-up for you here, too. Just absolutely disgusting tape job. But you know what? Puck goes in the net. That's all that matters here for Andrei Kuzmenko.
I'm not one of those tape job guys. Like, I'm not a guy that looks at a tape job and like judges a person based on their tape job. Well, good. That keep defensemen on their toes, keep goalies being like, what the hell is going on there? Next thing you know, he's already scored on you.
There you go. So he played 4 years with CSKA Moscow, and then moved over to St. Petersburg. And sorry, I said 5 years in the KHL. This guy, I mean, the first 2 years, he barely played.
2015, yeah.
Yeah, but he played 12 games, then 15 games. But then since 2016, he's been a regular, and his numbers just keep improving from 15 to 25 to 31 to 33 to 37, and now 52 points. So that's the type of trajectory you want to see. Now, he's one of those players where, because he's coming over at the age he is, like Kaprizov, even though Kaprizov was drafted, they signed the 1-year entry-level contract. So this is where it's an even playing field for all teams. Nobody can pay him more than $925,000 for 1 year. So it's opportunity that's going to be the main driving factor. And Ottawa clearly has lots of that. But then you look for a big pay raise right after that first year. So dangerous in a way, but if this guy's dangerous on the ice, who cares? Then give him his flowers, and away you go. So, hey, this is a pretty exciting name, and I think Sens fans should keep it in mind. Now, nothing will become official for a long time. Now, he could sign with 31 other teams. So I'm not getting my hopes up too much, but just the fact Pierre Dorion is like planning meetings and being public. We don't negotiate through the media. Remember that. So the fact that he's being so open about this guy, it's definitely something that piqued my interest, no doubt. Now, his regular season ends February 28th. Then they've got playoffs after that. I don't think anything would become official until March, April, May, and don't expect him to play in the NHL until the start of next season. But definitely something of note. What else stood out from you with Pierre Dorion's media availability yesterday?
I mean, honestly, that kind of fully grabbed my attention. Like, that was just such a big bomb to drop. And like you said, like, Pierre Dorion, not a guy that likes to like tip his hat to the media. I mean, I think his famous words are always, we don't negotiate through the media. So just to give Sens fans this bone to kind of be happy about and have some positivity to lean on, that was my biggest takeaway for sure.
Couple other notes. One we'll get into afterwards with Tyler Boucher, but with the goaltenders, doesn't seem like they're going to make any sort of decisions coming up. They do have a spot on the taxi squad available for when Anton Forsberg gets back. His symptoms with COVID, I think, worse than, or at least longer than most of the other players. So instead of the reduced 5-day quarantine, he is going to stay on for the whole 10 days. So they have not activated him. Everyone else pretty much is off the COVID list. But this is another opportunity. You got to think they split the games. I know Gus played great against Calgary last season, especially. And he's probably wanting to make up for that game that we don't talk about. Yeah. But when it comes to Matt Murray, I don't think anybody played well against Edmonton last year. 0-9 against the Oilers.
Brutal.
Do you throw him back in the fire again after another long layoff? Like, it's not fair to Matt Murray, but he's the number one goalie by default with his salary.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. He probably has PTSD from being at Rogers Arena. Yeah, no, get Gus in there. I mean, like, Gus needs to play. Like, it's insane how long your top goalie prospect is going without playing. Like, that's unheard of. The guy you protected in the expansion draft. It was the Islanders, wasn't it? Yeah, like, holy crap. So, Gus has got to get in there. It's got to be
He's played twice since the start of December.
Yeah.
And he's played 4 games since November 13th. That win against Pittsburgh. Remember that win against Pittsburgh so long ago where Drake Batherson had his 4-point night? That's he's played 4 games since. Lost all 4 of them. But that's a long time to go between games. So I'm with you. I think that it's time to get Gus in. But again, like, you gonna play Gus both those games? Like, what's the deal with Matt Murray?
I don't think you play him both those games. I think you get Murray in the next game. Yeah, because
so you don't care about the fact that, like, the history there where Gus played better against Calgary. You just throw that out the window right now.
Yeah, I'm throwing that out the window. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, if it's Matt,
I'm throwing a lot of things out the window here, Ross.
I know. I want to throw my laptop out the window right now, honestly. But one thing I might do, and this could be a reverse jinx, but if it's Matt Murray against the Oilers, I'm going to betonline.ag, and I am hammering the over in that game. I promise you that. If you've seen the Oilers goaltending as well, you know why. But BetOnline is where I'll do that because BetOnline is the number one sportsbook, the only sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network, and they want to hook our listeners up with a promo code 18+, of course. And if you're interested, go to betonline.ag and use our promo code Locked On. So when you make your account, it's free to make the account. You go on and use promo code Locked On for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. So you put in $100, bingo, bango, bongo. That's 50 free play dollars right there that you can use to earn yourself a big payday. BetOnline.ag, it's where you get in the action. So don't sit on the sidelines anymore and use our promo code Locked On for a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It's BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Pilsy. So we discussed a few topics that Pierre Dorion got into, but I was also curious to hear the plan for Tyler Boucher. We reported yesterday, well, we passed on the reporting of JF. I keep messing up his name. I feel so bad. Ledroit just reported that Tyler Boucher is in town. And he made the drive down the 401 to Belleville yesterday. He was on the ice for about 20 minutes, and he hadn't skated in 3 weeks. So no surprise there, Pilsy. It'll be interesting because Belleville's got a game to play tonight. He's not in the lineup, and I don't think he will play for Belleville. I don't want him to play for Belleville. But if the 67s keep getting postponed, just like Gus, you got to get these guys in games.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, with the Belleville thing, yeah, keep in mind he's coming off COVID. He hasn't played in a while. So that, I feel like that was a practice where it's just like, let's just get you on the ice again. Like, no pressure, just get on the ice, see how you do. And yeah, I'm with you. I really am against him playing games in Belleville. I just don't think he's quite ready. I don't think that team is in a good spot to I don't want to say shelter him, but you know what I mean? Like to insulate him and to make things a little easier for him. So I don't think it's the right time for him to play in Belleville. Even if Ottawa 67s don't play, just keep practicing, keep getting that conditioning up. Because hopefully the 67s can play soon, because I really truly do think he's going to thrive in that environment. So I don't want to get his confidence down even more after he's kind of probably feeling a little iffy about how things went in the NCAA. So definitely just keep conditioning him in Belleville. That was a smart move. I'll tip my hat to Dorion making that paper transaction to have that available. So that's good. But yeah, for fans that are excited and like, oh, maybe we'll see him in a Belleville game, I don't think that'd be a great thing.
No, he was overwhelmed in the NCAA. And
Exactly.
I'll tell you, the AHL is a step up from NCAA.
And that's fine. Yeah, that's fine to be like, that's just where he's at. And it's totally fine to be overwhelmed. There's no reason to rush him.
Is it a good time to point out that Cole Sillinger has 1 goal in his last 22 games? Remember the absolute fire that caused when Cole Sillinger had a little hot streak in his 18-year-old season.
Hey, you know where I stand on that. Yeah,
I know. I'm just saying everybody's getting on the train. Cole Sillinger, 12 points now in 32 games. It just looks a little less grand than when he had 10 points in 20 games, right?
Yeah.
That's all I'm getting at. We're not throwing Cole Sillinger under the bus now, but he's got 1 goal in his last 22 games. So, all right, that's our 2021 draft recap for today. But we will see. I don't want to see Tyler Boucher in Belleville at all on the ice in games, but it can't hurt to get him in some practice there. We'll see, and we can't wait for our boy Angus Crookshank to get back to practice as well. We'll get an update from him on Monday right here on Locked On Senators. Stay tuned for that. And Carson Latimer later in the week as well. Can't wait to get to chat with him and this young up-and-coming next generation of Ottawa Senators. Speaking of that next generation and the Belleville Sens, Phillippe Daoust, who was 15 games into his AHL career. Now, there's a ton of interesting concepts with this, especially like we thought he scored in his first AHL game, Pills. You remember in Laval? It was ultimately tipped. Didn't count, and he has 5 assists, no goals in 15 games. But he's also been dealing with a nagging injury. His rights in the QMJHL, where he could and will go back as a 20-year-old, were just traded to St. John. Now, the Sea Dogs, Thomas Chabot, Mike Hoffman's alma mater. Do you call it alma mater when it's junior? I don't know, but they are hosting the Memorial Cup this year. So, after he might play this weekend in Belleville, but afterwards he will be reassigned to the QMJHL, where he dominated last year, 28 points in 21 games. So this is a great opportunity. I think the right play for Daoust.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like you just mentioned, like Belleville's not like a great insulating place for players entering pro hockey for the first time. Mind you, he did okay, like 5 points, 15 games. That's not bad at all. And I don't think he was too out of place there, but he's going to go down with some pro experience. I don't want to say a chip on his shoulder, but, he's got something to work for and work towards now. And I think he's going to absolutely light it up there. And today was the Sea Dog Gathering Day, Ross. Like that team is making trades left, right, and center. So they are stacking up for a Mem Cup, which is classic junior hockey. And I'm fired up. Pierre Dorion wants winners. So let's see if Phillippe Daoust can be a Mem Cup winner. Let's go.
Yes. Now, the other interesting note, I mentioned there were a couple that he wasn't on his entry-level contract.
Yes.
So there's no years burned on that. He signed a 1-year AHL deal because he was drafted as an overager. Now he's a 20-year-old. He better dominate the Q. Let's put it that way. This guy's got 15 games of pro experience. He had over a point per game last year. Now, I know he's a late bloomer, but let's go see him absolutely dominate with his new squad, the St. John Sea Dogs. So that's all and good. But nothing's better than this. Jake Sanderson on the list of names that are released, first reported by Brad Schlossman, a guest on this show, and then confirmed by Frank Saravelli. We're going to see Jake Sanderson at the Olympics, man. That's unreal.
That is wild. Yeah. I think I know where you stand on this, Ross, but I'm still a little bit surprised, and I'll be surprised if he goes, because just that looming fact that you could get stuck there for 5 weeks quarantining. Like, man, that is a tough pill to swallow. Now, obviously, we hope everything goes all right. He goes there, gets a silver medal to Canada, and comes back. But if he got stuck there, that's a major issue, because then that could possibly that could affect how many games he plays with the Sens. No. Yeah,
but will it? No, it wouldn't.
I guess no. 5 weeks from when the Olympics would end, wouldn't quite get there.
I think this was all misunderstood a little bit. It's 5 weeks if you continue to show symptoms, I think.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to keep, like, if athletes test positive.
It's China, dude.
I know. Yeah. So all bets are off. But what I'll say is that the last Olympics went on with, I think, minimal cases. Now, are things open, and is China the best spot? Those are questions I don't know the answer to. But what I will say is that should he just go for the normal amount of time, Nodak only plays 6 games in the month of February. So from that standpoint, it's all good. The most important games for Jake Sanderson after the Olympics will be March 11th to 13th. That's the NCHC face-off. And then afterwards, they get into the NCAA tournament. So with all that, he's not missing much. Like, the most important time will be weeks afterwards. He'll be reacclimated, and he could be 2/3 of the way to a triple gold club, Pillsy, before the age of 20. You got to think he's got that on his mind.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty impressive, something to put on the resume. But let me pose this question to you, Ross. Do you think, obviously, Jake Sanderson's development doesn't need too much work here, but do you think it's better for him to play Olympic hockey up against other amateurs, or is it better competition level just staying in Nodak?
That's a tough question. I'll need to see what all the rosters look like. But
it's pretty close, though, right? Like, if you have to think about it.
But there's lots of these young kids going, right? Like Owen Power, in all likelihood, going to play for Canada. And who else could be on that list? Mason McTavish, maybe. So I think it's going to be great. And just the experience of going over there, I know it's not going to be as normal as most people or everybody would like. But just the fact of going to play for your country in the Olympics, it just has that aura. And I think that it could only make him better. From that list of defensemen, I'm going to pull it up right now because
he's easily the top guy.
Easily the top player. Now, I hyperbolically stated that he should be the captain of this team. They're going to go with someone who's older than 19 years old. But
I mean, hey, he's already captain of a Team USA. Just bring the jerseys over. That's easy marketing.
Yes. The more pro defenseman, Steven Kampfer, who played in the NHL for a while, Aaron Ness, cup of coffee in the NHL, David Warsawski. Then they've got 3 NCAA players right now on this long list. Now, not all are confirmed participants, but this is a fluid list. These players have been invited. Brock Faber, LA Kings prospect. We did him in our draft rankings in 2020. Drew Hellison, and the other one is Jake Sanderson, of course. So 3 from the KHL and 3 from the NCAA circuit. So I just think this is exciting. And especially like Matty Beniers is on the list. I think they're going to have a young team and an exciting one at that. So I hope he goes. I know I said before that I didn't, but at this point, now that it's right in front of us and I can see that Nodak's only playing 6 games in the meantime, he'll play just as many games at the Olympics. It's just wearing the red, white, and blue instead of the green, white, and black. So I'm all in now. Now that I've seen it and now that I know, hey, are the Sens even going to be playing? Like, who knows? So I need something to keep me going. And Jake Sanderson, it's going to be a huge honor for him. And we were saying that we didn't think he would want to go, but it's obviously going to make the viewing experience a whole hell of a lot better with having him over there.
Definitely, yeah. From a selfish standpoint, it'd be nice because then, but wait, Ross, are we going to be getting up for primetime Beijing to watch that? I guess there's probably not.
Postcast coming up, the Sandy cast after
6:30 a.m. postcast.
Yes, let's absolutely get on with it. All right, if you missed any Locked On Senders this week, go back, check them all out, either on our YouTube page or wherever you download your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, that thumbs up goes a long way. Like and subscribe as well. Yesterday was great. We looked at all the future UFA and RFAs on this team, Pillsy. So that was fun to do. We're trying to get as much content as we can for you guys at a time where the Ottawa Senators simply do not play games.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It is wild how long this has gone on. And just it seems like we're ready to turn the corner, and then things just get thrown in our face here. So we're doing the best we can. We're glad. Thanks for the positive feedback. We're getting from some people saying thanks for all the content. We're grinding. We're doing what we can. And, go Sens go if they ever play.
We'll be back on Monday. I feel like we're saying this over and over again, hopefully to preview a game on Monday night.
There's some Belleville games to preview.
Yeah, for sure. So, we'll recap those. I feel like we did have,
recap, obviously. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And Angus Crookshank will join the show. We'll get him to recap the games because we know he's around the team, and we'll see what he thinks of his teammates' play in his absence. But for today, we say goodbye. Have a great weekend, everyone. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.